Hey, here is a bonus. This is going to be a wave shape. We're going to be using this palette knife. So you already know how to make the sort of petal shapes, and you already know how to mix a gradient. We're going to be starting with white and getting lighter and lighter and lighter and going to the darkest color. And this is a 16 by 20 inch canvas that I am using. So I'm just going to do this in real time. I'll talk while I go, but all of this stuff has already been covered. This is just kind of a bonus because I can't ever stop painting and I record everything. So I figured I may as well share this with you. So I'm going to be doing a blue. I already mixed all my colors. Here is what I'm going to be using, going from white and getting darker and darker to a blue. I'm going to be starting the top of the wave with white and then going down. So as I said, you already know how to do these strokes. I'm over here getting my my first load of paint, and I'm picturing here I'm going to do a wave that crests and goes this way and then down here probably. So my first most important petal, or whatever you want to call it, I'm going to put right here. And I'm just going to continue with white until it feels right to switch over to the next color. I'm kind of doing a staggered design here. Don't want them to all be in a row. I'm just kind of thinking about the outline of the shape of a wave. I want it to go around, so I'm going to start turning my palette knife. You can, if you want to, switch back and forth between like a larger and a smaller palette knife if you wanted to have if the area is too tight, like if you're using a smaller canvas or if you can't quite get the shape that you want. Sometimes I do have to use a smaller knife, especially when I'm working on a smaller canvas, but this is a decently sized canvas, so I think we'll be okay. And just depending on how much paint you load up onto your palette knife will help determine the thickness as you put it on there. And since I am doing a gradient, I'm trying to, instead of say outlining this whole thing, I'm trying to go all, kind of like a line. So I do all the white up here and then I sort of go down. Because sometimes I might actually do this a different way, but I want to get all the white done first. Let's see, I want that to go kind of like that. Maybe I even want it to go up a smidge more. And then down and around, because it's going to go like this and then like that. As you know, I like to just sort of do things by feeling. Can't really sketch this out ahead of time because, well, then you would have lines all over your canvas, which you don't want, or I don't want anyway. Have a little bit, there's a little bit of something right there, and instead of trying to get it out, I'm going to cover over it like so. I don't quite know where that came from. And around there. And I actually think what I'm going to do in just a sec is start mixing in my lightest blue with some white. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of light blue and a little bit of white just to start that gradient now. Even though the colors I have are already gradiated, I'm just gonna do an even, like one more subtle gradient between my lightest colors just to really make that gradient really go down easy, not seem too sudden. Yes, I noticed. I never knew that I did it, but when I paint like this, I make lots of sound effects like which I sort of find funny. So feel free to make your own vocalizations as you whoosh your way down your painting. Whoosh. That just makes it feel more fun, at least to me. Okay, so I'm going like this. Yeah, you know what? It's a wave, it's organic, it's fun. However it turns out, I feel like I will be very happy with. And I hope you'll be happy with yours too. You always can scrape off this paint and start over if you're not happy with the way something is going. I have scraped off many a painting where I put it down and then was like, I don't like this. This is not working the way I wanted. And I have just started over. But so far, I'm happy with how this is going. As I have said, normally I would be listening to music or something. The silence is so all-encompassing. That's neat. Feeling good about this one. Okay, I think I'm gonna switch to just the blue color now, which is still a very light color, but I think I've mixed in as much white as I want to. So now I'm just gonna do the blue. And then I want this to go around like that probably. So I probably wanna start turning it out just a bit, like so. If you start to get too much down there, just kind of wipe it off so that it doesn't make your shapes a shape that you don't want, like with weird little strings coming off of it. I mean, mine do sometimes end up like that, despite my best efforts, but I do try to clean it up a bit before I smush it on. I want this one to go like that, so I'm gonna go out a bit and then go fill it back in right here. It's got a little flyaway right there, like that. I actually think I'm gonna start mixing my light blue with the next color down just to continue that gradient. So I'll put a little bit of light blue number 1 with a little bit of light blue number 2, just to start getting it a little bit darker. And it's really not that much of a difference, but I'm gonna do it nevertheless for a couple here. I just try to keep this moving. You know, it's supposed to be a wave, an abstract wave, but a wave nonetheless. So I want it to move in different directions. I want it to feel, you know, I really like my art to feel like it has movement, to feel alive, I guess would be a way to put it. Like I want it to feel, I want it to have visual interest. I want it to look different every time you look at it. These kinds of paintings are good for that because of how thick and textured they are. They sort of look different depending on the time of day you look, the way the shadows are hitting, which is really cool. So if you're making a painting like this to give to someone, I'm sure they will appreciate the awesomeness of the way it changes. And now I'm switching entirely over to my third color. So I've used white with the second color, just the second color, and now the second color with the third, and now I'm just doing the third color. I want to get just a little bit darker. And when I have leftover gradient colors like this, I can mix them all together to make one solid color, or I could keep them laid out in the gradients and do a smaller painting with the leftover gradient. You can really do whatever you want with the leftover paint. And as we talked about, you can store it in plastic containers so it doesn't dry out. And that way you can use it later. You don't have to feel pressured to use it all up right now. A lot of times I just use all white, and then that you can just put right back into the acrylic mixing tub. I'm going to start adding a little bit of a darker color because I feel like it needs to start going somewhere. So I just have a touch of that darker color and a touch of the lighter color. Let's see. Again with the whooshing sounds. And I am standing up as usual. I always stand up when I paint. I want to be able to move around and put my palette knife in whatever position works best, which a lot of times for me means sort of walking around my desk and, you know, going all different directions. Just take your time. Smush it, smush it in the exact place you want it. And if you don't quite get it, you can go back over it. No rush. This is your time. And yes, I have to tell myself that as well. Sometimes it feels like parts of my mind are like, art making, you should be marketing, you need to be selling. But art making is the reason I'm here. I'm here to make stuff. So, you know, I need to actually make the stuff. And if I'm not enjoying it, what's the point? And now I think I'm going to move into just using the darker color. And I'm hoping that I'm doing this in the right order so I don't... Oh, you know what? I just realized I did not use my... okay. What would happen if I did this? Let's see. I had two colors, two light blues, and I only used one of them because I have them slightly out of order in my palette. But that's okay. We'll make it work. I feel confident. So now I'm mixing light blue number 4. I thought I was mixing light blue number 2 with 3, but I was actually mixing it with 5. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. 1 was white. I skipped ahead a little bit, but I think I can still make that work because the gradient still looks fine. So now I'm just mixing a slightly darker with that other darker one to hopefully get the same, go in the same direction I was intending. We got this. When you go off the edge, you can just pull it like so. I do hope I have enough mixed up to get all the way down. I hope I didn't start darkening it too soon. Too much on my palette. I'm gonna go back and take a little off. And you can see I'm wiping the edges with my fingers, so my fingers are getting a little messy. So I'm probably gonna have to wipe that off. I'm just gonna wipe it off with my palette knife. Okay, this is pretty. I'm happy with this. Let's see if we can get a little bit darker, but not too dark yet. I learn something every time I make a new painting, which is a beautiful thing. I was hoping I could get this to go slightly up here at the end, or on this end. Let's see if we can get that to work. Also, when you get to the end here, just do a little half flower petal there. I am not doing that as a, I cannot help but make the whooshing sound when I'm trying to figure out which direction it should go. It's kind of funny. I just really can't do it. I must whoosh. Must whoosh. So if you have a little hole like that, if you're doing all white, you probably don't care, but if it's bothering you, just go back and put the tip kind of smush up to cover it. And as discussed, these colors, you know, acrylic medium does shrink. I try to use, like, that's why I use high solid gloss, because it shrinks the least, and then I use it with my flexible modeling paste. But sometimes you do end up with areas in your painting that are white where the design you've put on has sort of shrunken back a little. So you just have to think ahead for how you would like to deal with that. You could do an underpainting. You could work in all white. If you're covering it completely and not doing a petal kind of thing like this, that's less likely to happen. Let's see, how do I want to handle this section? That's pretty good. It's probably enough for me. To be happy. That's pretty. It's pretty. I'm hoping that I didn't start the dark too soon and that I have enough paint to get all the way through. Okay, so right there, that did not go quite as high up as I wanted. I'm just gonna smush back down with a little more. And then I'm just gonna leave it be because I feel like I'm getting too in the weeds with it. I'm just gonna let it go. Oops. As usual, do you know how hard it is for me to not sing the song that is stuck in my head? And these days, every song stuck in my head is something that is very popular that my daughter listens to. If this was 25 years ago, I would be singing a Pearl Jam song, but I hardly get to listen to that anymore. That's better. Been kind of ignoring this side, so I'm going to get back and start filling this side in. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I hope I have enough to do what I was originally planning, and if not, maybe I'll do a little white in the middle or something. Like a reverse ombre. We shall see. Oof, sorry about that. Sorry to my desk and to you. That must have made a big bump. All right, I'm gonna take the plunge and go slightly darker. Cross your fingers. Cross your fingers that we have enough. I'm going to wipe off the back of my palette knife because I feel like it's getting too gunky. So now it's clean again. I'm going to start again. Can't see me, but I'm walking back and forth. I'm not trying to work way over here, like leaning across my canvas. I like to be able to position myself exactly where I want myself. I don't need to be able to do this from every single angle. I've always liked to stand up while I'm making art. Even when I was in high school. I don't remember middle school. Does anyone remember middle school? I think I've blocked it out, but I've always liked to stand up. I always felt like I could it's hard for me to work sitting down, which is funny because I do like to walk and hike and stuff, but I never considered myself athletic, especially not back then. So it's sort of funny that I would be wanting to stand up rather than sitting down, because I feel like I had more of a reputation for sitting. My daughter is so the opposite of me. When I went to summer camp, I remember I loved when they would play, gosh, I don't remember the name of the game, but it was something like basically whoever could lie still for the longest would win. That game, I was a shoo-in. My daughter cannot stay still for any reason. And if she's still in the body, her mouth is probably moving. She's probably laughing or talking or making silly noises. She's one energetic, lovely, lovely child. Who is not home right now, which is why I am able to paint this without interruption. Although a cat may come try to see me, but the door's closed. There could be meowing though, you never know. All right, I feel like we're getting pretty close here. Going slightly darker by mixing my last two colors. My darkest too. Hopefully I have enough of the all dark left when I get to the very bottom. You know, people sometimes say about this, like it's wasting paint, but you really don't use that much paint. It's more just acrylic medium that you're allegedly wasting, although I would not call it that at all. I think you're making something beautiful. Okay, I am going to pause this and come back for a part 2 because this is getting quite long.